Hello there, Stampers, and welcome to Stampin' Up with Jaimie. I'm super excited to be here with you today to show you this cute Halloween tutorial that I have for you today. This cute little elephant here comes from the Trick or Tweet stamp set. It's from the 2018 holiday catalog, available now. It has these really cute like images, animal images, and I'm such a sucker for punny sentiments, and so I knew I had to get this set. I thought it'd be cute for for scrapbooking as well. My kids, you know, Halloween costumes or whatnot. So this is a card that I have created. It uses Gorgeous Grape as the background with some hints of Highland Heather and touches of basic black. So let's just go ahead and dive in. I have our Gorgeous Grape cardstock here. This is going to be our card base. It's scored at 4 1/4. It is it is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, excuse me. Do those dimensionals, not the ones that I just said. And before we get any further, I'm going to go ahead and do our elephant here because I'm going to put a box underneath my paper here. Just so that you can see the coloring a little bit closer up. I know it's a little hard to see just the way it is right now. So to stamp the elephant, I'm going to take just Whisper White cardstock and our Memento Black ink. And I'm going to ink up Mr. Elephant here. He's so cute. He's a bat for Halloween. Adorable. And I'm going to stamp him down. Anytime we use Stampin' Blends markers, which are the ones I'm going to use today, you can just use our regular Whisper White cardstock and the regular Memento Black ink. You don't have to use anything super special in particular. To color my elephant in, let me get my box here first. I apologize. I'm just going to scoot everything up a little bit. There we go. So you can see a little closer. To color him in, the purple, we don't have Gorgeous Grape Stampin' Blends markers, but there is a touch of Highland Heather in the Designer Series paper. So I'm using the dark and light Highland Heather. I'm using the dark and light Smoky Slate for the actual elephant, and then I'm using the dark and light, which mostly the light, but just a hint of dark Pumpkin Pie Stampin' Blends markers. I'm gonna start with the actual elephant, the body of the elephant, because it's what mostly takes up most of the space here. The Stampin' Blends markers come with two ends. One is more of like a paintbrush, and one more is more like a fine tip, or not quite so big like the brush. I'm actually going to use the brush because I have to cover a lot of space here, and it's just easier to cover more space with the brush end. I'm starting out with the light Stampin' Blends markers, and I'm going to cover the entire elephant. If you're working in like a super big space, you definitely want to go like little by little and color him in, or color the image in. In order to get the really nice shadowing and blending of colors, you need the ink to be wet. So you don't want to cover too big of a space. You want to definitely work kind of quickly, remembering that as long as the ink is wet, it will blend together. So I colored the whole elephant, I almost said giraffe, the whole elephant in light Smoky Slate Stampin' Blends. I'm going to take, actually, I don't think I want the fine tip. I think I want the brush. This is the dark Smoky Slate, and you can definitely see a marked line there. That's because I haven't blended him in yet. And I'm going to add, a darker shade where I think, he would be casting a shadow. Definitely on these wrinkles here on his nose. And more likely than not, that ear would be darker than the other one. And let's not forget his tail. I'm going to come back with the light Smoky Slate and kind of blend the shade. Blend the shade, yes. Just like that. Again, I could just leave him that one light Smoky Slate, but I do like, a variation in color. The Stampin' Blends are great if, you're new to coloring. I can't necessarily say coloring is my forte. It's not necessarily what I'm, my strongest suit. But these Stampin' Blends really make shadowing so easily. It's not a drastic blend. It's not a drastic shade. It's a very subtle, look. But it definitely gives a two-toned effect to whatever image you're coloring in. And I think that's about good. What's nice about these markers here is they don't leave a line. If you were to use your Stampin' Write markers and you were to color, you would leave lines, which we don't want lines. Next, I'm going to color in his mask and his wings. And again, I'm using the Highland Heather. I'm going to use the more fine tip just because it's a smaller space that I'm working in and I want to make sure I don't go outside the lines. Do them both at the same time. I'm going to come in with the dark Highland Heather now and just add some shading where I thought maybe his mask would be casting a shadow. And then to blend the two, I'm going to come back with the light. So light, dark, light gives the effect that I like. I think it's pretty. There we go. Oh, and you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to stamp the little pumpkin thing that he's holding. I forgot all about that. So let me just come in quickly. Get that little pumpkin on a block and my ink. And this is our clear mound, so you're going to have to just kind of aim for his mouth. Oops, as I put my thumb in it. How about there? Yep, that works. Perfect. To color in the pumpkin, I'm going to first come in with, again, the lighter of the two shades, the light Stampin' Blend marker. And this one's even smaller, so I'm definitely using the finer tip on this guy. For sure. Nice and slowly. I'm trying to stay inside the lines here. And now I'm going to take my dark pumpkin pie. And again, wherever I think it would be kind of casting a shadow or be darker, definitely along those grooves of the pumpkin, it would be darker. And again, to blend now the both of them, I'm going to come back with my light and just make it nice and smooth, a really smooth line. Oh, you know what? I forgot to get the yellow out. To make it a jack-o'-lantern, I took just my dark Daffodil Delight and I colored in his mouth and his eyes. It's super subtle. It's kind of even hard to see, but I didn't want it left white. I definitely wanted there to be just a little bit of color there in the jack-o'-lantern. So now I can take my box out. And that's what we're left with. Super cute, isn't he? Oh, he's so adorable. Again, this is the card we're working on. To get him like that, unfortunately, we don't have any framelits. So we're going to go to good old-fashioned scissors. I probably should have done this ahead of time. But he's kind of big and there aren't too many details, so he's kind of quick and easy to fussy cut out. Whenever I do a fussy cut, I do try and leave like a little bit, probably like a 1/8 of an inch around the edge of it. That way I don't have to be too precise and I can kind of get the job done. If you were more particular, you certainly could actually follow the line, the black line, but this works. I like a little edge around it anyways. These are our paper snips that I'm using, super sharp. If you do any kind of paper cutting, certainly fussy cutting for sure, you're definitely going to want to get these. Paper snips again, super sharp, and they're a small scissor. You know, if you were to use big scissors, it just wouldn't, you wouldn't have the control, I guess that's the word I want. The smaller the scissors, the more control you have. It's easier to get in the tighter spots here. And I'm just kind of cutting them off as I go, so it's just easier to work with a smaller piece of paper as opposed to the big chunk. And around his wings, and around his back, and we're done. Ta-da! Like so. He's super cute, isn't he? I love him. I love puns. I just am such a sucker for sentiments that have puns on them. So baddie for you. I love it. Love, love, love. Okay. Oh, you know what? I didn't cut cardstock for that. Oh, gee willikers. This is Whisper White matted on some basic black. Let me just cut that for a second. I'm sorry. It's 2 by, looks like 3, 2 by 3. Let me get my cardstock out here. Oh, how did I not do that? I apologize. This is our Stampin' trimmer for all, you know, your cutting needs. 2 2 by 3. I just put a new blade on it too. I apparently have been doing lots of crafting. It was getting dull. 2 by 3, and then while I'm at it, I gotta cut a piece of basic black. I'm gonna cut it 2 1/8. Nope, hold on, I gotta cut it this way. 3 1/8 by 2 1/8. I think that's what it was. We'll find out when I go to do it. So in the card, I originally just had him on some Gorgeous Grape cardstock, and it looked cute. It was fine, but I wanted just to like bring it to the next level. And so I actually blended and stamped the background to my Mr. Elephant here. I used Highland Heather at the top and Gorgeous Grape on the bottom of the Whisper White, and I cut 2 pieces of sponge. So the sponges come like this. They're a packet of 3. And all you do is just kind of cut pieces from it. You don't have to use a whole big, oh my goodness, that would be such a waste, to use the whole big sponge for one color. You definitely want to cut out pieces of it, kind of pieces of a pie. What's nice about our new ink pads is they have these little stickers in the inside of them, so that when you open them up, you're like, oh, that's Highland Heather. Oh, that's Gorgeous Grape. So that you know. And this is definitely a process, so bear with me here. But the Highland Heather, I'm just going to pick up ink on my sponge here and start at the top. And with our new ink pads, what I notice is that they definitely stamp darker at first, and then as they dry, they give off a lighter color. So when I first started and I was working on this card and I was stamping the Highland Heather, I was like, wow, that is so dark. It almost looks like it's the Gorgeous Grape. But as it starts to dry, it definitely gives a lighter look. With the Gorgeous Grape, I wanted to kind of like I didn't want a stark line. I kind of wanted it just like a darker highlight around the edge of it. By the way, when you sponge, your fingers are going to be covered in ink, so you might as well just accept the fact that you're going to be all inked up and move on. And as you can see, this is definitely a process that it takes some time, and you just keep adding the color until you get the look and the gradients that you're looking for. Again, with the Gorgeous Grape, I'm kind of doing a U along the bottom and up along the sides. I'm coming back in with Highland Heather here and trying to get a nice kind of mix. Again, remembering that as the ink dries, it does lighten. As I was doing this, I was like, why is that such a different color than the first time I stamped? And I was like, oh, because it stamps really dark the first time. And the more color I build on it, the deeper and well covered it is. If I want more of a splotchier look, I definitely, you know, don't have to work at it so much. I can just, you know, let white kind of show through. But I really wanted a well covered paper. I'm coming back with my Gorgeous Grape here. I really want it nicely covered. Building the color. And it's funny because at first you're like, wow, that is such a stark difference in color. But honestly, you can't really tell. It's a very subtle. Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape work really, really nice together. They're a nice blend. They're definitely a different color, but they are perfect for shadowing or giving a gradients of color. I think I'm just about done. And to keep track, I just wrote the name on a piece of paper and stapled it over it. And it also is a nice kind of way to be able to hold on to the sponge, excuse me. And I think I'm just about done. Maybe a little bit more at the top. I see some white. I don't want any white. Go away, white. Okay. And that's the final product. It's a very subtle shade. Very, very subtle change. But it adds just a nice, especially since we did some coloring and some highlighting on the elephant itself. Instead of just having this one shade of cardstock color behind him, you know, there's this nice little gradients of color. This is the final product. Can you see it now? Man, I even noticed it to begin with. Okay, so let's go back here. And my cardstock is somewhere. Where is it? Oh my goodness. There it is. This is, again, it has Gorgeous Grape in it and with some Highland Heather. That's why I was able to pull both colors out together. This comes from the Toils and Trouble Designer Series paper, again from the 2018 Holiday Catalog. And I'm just going to adhere that over a panel of basic black here. Isn't that cute, the other side of it? The ghosts. So cute. And they're like happy ghosts. They're not scary ghosts. My basic black is 5 1/4 by 4, and then the DSP is just 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. Again, matting. I love to mat. I have to mat. Can't not mat. I try not to, and I just can't. Must mat. Like so. And this guy that we just did is going to be matted on a panel of, I knew I cut that big. It's a little too big on the one side. I'll just mat it differently. I have a panel of basic black. Like so. And then that gets adhered onto the card. Cut, mat, adhere. Cut, mat, adhere. Basically, that's how I do my cards. Cut, mat, adhere. Now, for this card here, I added these kind of black enamel shapes, and you're like, wait, they weren't anywhere. They're actually from the Best Root enamel shapes, which they have lots of different ones, but I use the black. They have a nice gray, mango, what is it? Mango Melody. Yeah, I was right. And I think those are Pineapple Punch. And I just added 2 in the corner here. Just, I don't know, add another little touch. One of the big ones and one of the small ones. They come in the 2 sizes of the circles. And next we're going to have to do my sentiment here, which is just, how big is this? This is a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4. It goes along the complete width of the card. And again, comes from the Trick or Treat. It's this guy right up here. Trick or Tweet, I should say, not Trick or Treat. And I'm going to white heat emboss it. Especially because I'm using basic black cardstock, I definitely want to wipe my buddy over it first, the embossing buddy. This gets rid of all the static so that when I emboss, it doesn't leave like little white speckles everywhere. And I'm going to stamp it in Versamark ink because it stays wetter longer and it kind of buys me time to be able to sprinkle it with white embossing powder. Like so. And it's still wet, so I have some time. This is my white embossing powder. Embossing is one of my absolute most favorite things to do. I'm going to sprinkle it generously. You can always tap off the excess, but you definitely want to be generous with it. And right now it's a powder. I'm going to take my heat tool, and as soon as it gets super hot and it heats up that powder, it actually melts it, so it stays on it. Careful with your heat tool. It's going to be super hot. Don't want to burn yourself. And as soon as it kind of forms, it becomes shiny, you're good. You don't have to sit here all day heating it up. In fact, if you heat it up too much, it can actually burn the paper. I'm going to put some adhesive on the one side and then a Stampin' Dimensional on the opposite end. Because it kind of hangs off of this guy here, it won't be flat. So it does need kind of a dimensional on the other side. About so, like that. And then I'm going to take our Mr. Elephant. He's so cute. He's ready to go trick-or-treating. And I want him to be popped up a little bit too. So again, Stampin' Dimensionals. Let's see. Let's be generous. Put 3 on them. Actually, that could probably use a mini dimensional where the pumpkin is. The dimensionals do come in 2 sizes, regular and then the minis. The minis are great for kind of smaller projects, smaller images that you want to adhere down, and the big ones are just too big. I want him kind of overlapping the sentiment a little bit, hanging on to, oh, you know what? I never peeled the I never peeled the dimensional. I'm like, why is that dimensional not sticking? Because I never peeled the backing off of it. There we go. There we go. We got it. Okay, so quick and easy, really fun. I just think he's so adorable. Elephant. He's got bat for Halloween this year. Again, comes a Trick or Tweet Stampin' Up! Stamp set from the 2018 holiday catalog. If you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email or get a hold of me. Head over to my store to buy all your Stampin' needs. I'll post a link at the bottom of this video in the comment section, and I hope to catch you next time for another tutorial. Thanks for watching. Take care.